Monica, you gotta fly.
No.
Black girl magic. Black girl magic.
You serious?
There's a very high chance that if you're watching this video, you have not watched The Marvels. The new movie featuring Brie Larson as Captain Marvel is not impressive, and for those of you who think that people are just hating because it's all women, I guarantee you that is not the case. This is a terribly written movie, and in this video I am going to be doing a scene comparison between a good movie and a bad movie, and I'm going to be using Thor Ragnarok as the scene to compare with. Now remember, in Thor Ragnarok we had Hela. The first thing that this movie, The Marvels, does terribly is a lack of context and setup. When the movie starts, they show you a dying sun. Then the next thing they show you is some other planet. Then they show you Dar-Ben, who is the villain. She looks as intimidating as an angry librarian, in my opinion. You see her, she's excavating something from the ground. She breaks this shell thing, and then inside is this bangle MacGuffin that she needs. What is this planet? Who knows? Like, how did she end up there? Who knows? How did she find the bangle? Who knows? Why is the bangle inside this thing? Who knows? There is no context. There is no setup. And this is the introduction to the villain. Someone online once said, your movie is only as good as your villain. This shows that The Marvels is lazily written. The people who wrote this movie, probably it was AI, it wasn't even people, they just simply said, we need a villain, so just whip out the villain, show that they got the MacGuffin thing, cut to the next scene. That's literally what happens. There I just described it. She breaks rock, she finds bangle, she asks where's the other bangle. It cuts to Miss Marvel. That's how poorly written it is. You can't compare it with something like Hela. When Hela shows up, you know why she shows up. She shows up because Odin has just passed, and she shows up in a specific place right next to our hero. You know why she's there, you know how she ended up there, you know why suddenly she pops up. Number two has to be the fact that Hela is an intimidating villain. From looking at her, you can simply tell from just even Thanos, for example, but I'm using Hela in this case. I'm using Hela because that's also a female villain, for those of you who think that the movie is just getting hate because of women, right? Hela is an intimidating villain. When you look at her, from the crown thing that she has on her head, she looks like the kind of female you don't want to fuck around with.
Live for Black TV. White folks are dead. We're getting the fuck out of here. Let's roll, Jack.
But Dar-Ben, the female villain of The Marvels, Jesus Christ, she looks as intimidating as a street child carrying a hammer. Like, I cannot look at her and take her seriously, not even for 5 minutes. I don't know if she was miscast or it's the actor who has an issue in how she relays herself on screen. I don't know. She is not powerful looking, she's not intimidating, and this just makes the movie just feel like it has no real tension, because I mean, you're supposed to feel that if my hero interacts with this villain, he's gonna get pummeled, but you never get that feeling with The Marvels. Next up has to be establishing dominance. Look at this scene where Hela appears and then Thor is introducing himself to Hela. What does Hela say? Kneel before your queen.
Kneel before your queen.
Kneel before your queen. That's her way of trying to establish dominance, right? And show that she's more powerful. But I guarantee you this, when Captain Marvel meets Dar-Ben for the first time, you know what happens? Captain Marvel flies in, she shoots some ray at Dar-Ben, absorbs it with the bracelet, she smiles like a crackhead rapper with grills on, and then Captain Marvel flies off. That's literally what happens. That is the first interaction between the villain and the hero in The Marvel. That's how bad it is. That's how flat it is. And it gets even worse.
But wait! There's more!
It gets even worse in the fact that when Captain Marvel flies off, Dar-Ben doesn't even follow her. Dar-Ben doesn't even follow her. She goes to some planet where there are some Skrulls. Then she opens a portal up and she begins to suck all the air up. You're like, what just happened to the fight that you just had as, watch right now? What just happened to that fight? Nothing happened. The hero and the villain fought, then it deflated. Nothing happened. You can't compare it with Hela and Thor fighting. When Thor throws Mjolnir at Hela, She grabs it, she breaks it, and then she starts a fight with them, and then they try to escape. And even when they try to escape through the Bifrost thing, she pursues. Like, that's the difference between a good movie and a bad movie. A good movie tries to keep the villain and the hero like together in the same place, while bad movies like the Marvels, once the hero disappears, oh, she's off to go do some other side quest thing while the villain is off doing some other bullshit you don't care about. It's a terribly written film. The other thing is supposed to be showing power level difference. When the hero and the villain meet for the first time, you're supposed to show us the power between the hero and the villain. For example, when, as I said, when Thor throws Mjolnir, what does Hela do? What does Hela do? She grabs it and then she breaks it. That immediately shows you how powerful she is. What happens when you see Darben for the first time with Captain Marvel? What happens? Captain Marvel shoots a beam, she absorbs it. This scene tells me nothing apart from what the bracelet does. It doesn't tell me anything. It doesn't tell me about Darben, how powerful she is. She just used the MacGuffin thing to absorb the power of the hero, and then the hero flies off, and then Darben goes to do something else. Like, what? Like, it's flat, it's boring, yeah, there's no tension. I don't fear for my hero, which brings in the other issue. My hero is overpowered. She's overpowered, meaning that every time she fights, she can either flee or fight and win. So there's never any struggle really, yeah, where I feel like my hero is about to be defeated, because she either flies off, she gets an easy out, or she ends up beating the bad guy. How am I supposed to feel any tension or any stakes when I know that when my hero can just fly off or win immediately? It's such a bad, crappy film, my guy. It's not worth watching. It's terribly written. Just by those two scenes, just by looking at how Thor Ragnarok introduces the female villain and the way the Marvels introduces the female villain, and how both movies introduce the villain fighting with the hero in the Marvels and the villain fighting the hero in Thor Ragnarok, you can definitely tell which is the better written film and which one is the worst written. Those are just from those two scenes, you can tell which one is the much more superior written film. The people who enjoyed this film, it's okay, fine, you enjoy whatever you enjoy. Personally, I think The Marvels is a terribly written film, and that's why it's bombing at the box office. Also, nobody cares about these characters. And the ending was, I remember when I watched the ending of The Marvels, it felt like one of those dudes who tells chicks that I'm gonna have sex with you for 3 hours and then it lasts like 5 minutes. That's how it felt. Because in the ending, Darben gets the second bracelet she wears and then she explodes. And then Captain Marvel flies into the sun and then restarts a sun, and what is she gonna do next? Find the cure to cancer? Like, I hated that movie. I couldn't even, like... Anyway, give me your thoughts if you've watched the movie. That's, by comparing it to Thor Ragnarok, that shows you why it's poorly written. Give me your thoughts on my analysis, and then I'll see you in the next one.